Okay, hi, this is Nell. Um, I want to apologize beforehand for this video. This is going to be a quick one. Holidays are around the corner. I really won't have the time to properly edit this. Usually, I spend a lot of time trying to get rid of sounds that come in the background, because unfortunately I live in a place where you can hear everything that everybody is doing. So yeah, you're probably going to hear cats meowing or dogs barking or people talking in the background. I'm sorry about that. I'm not taking that off this time. I just won't have time. Alright, so Death Stranding. I beat the game yesterday and it was a fantastic experience. Basically what you're doing here, you play as Sam Porter Bridges, which is a delivery man in this post-apocalyptic America. They say it is America, but that's totally Iceland. I mean, if you want to experience the world of Death Stranding in real life, take a plane and go to Iceland. Is exactly the same. The beaches, the mountains, everything, you will find it there. Well, maybe not exactly the mountains, because Iceland is a little bit flat. But no, you actually will find it. Yeah, just go there. It's fantastic. And, well, you are in this post-apocalyptic universe, and the apocalypse was triggered by a phenomenon called the Death Stranding. And the Death Stranding is basically like a sort of kind of like an atomic explosion that appear when an entity that was part of the realm of the dead came in contact with somebody in the realm of the living. So it can like trigger like a sort of antimatter reaction that blows a huge space and creates a crater and whatever. So a lot of cities got wiped out from America this way. So now most of society is isolated and living into bunkers. So these entities appear in a sort of meteorological event called the timefall, which is like rain, but everything that rain touches ages instantly. If it falls on your skin, then your skin is going to be like the skin of an old person. If it falls on the land, you can see, and actually this is pretty to see on game. You can see how a plant starts emerging and then starts rotting and then comes back. So yeah, basically everything it touches, the time pass by years ahead in a matter of seconds. So things get rusty, get damaged, and you need to deliver cargo from point A to point B, so you need to be very careful that your cargo does not get ruined in terrain. And also you have enemies that are trying to steal your cargo, and you have these entities that also want to, they are stranded in the beach, which is kind of like their version of limbo in a sense. So they are dead entities that they can't go to the other side, but they can't go back to the land of the living. So basically they are just there floating, don't know what to do. Whenever some alive person, animal, whatever crosses their path, they kind of like hold to them for their life and cause this reaction and this explosion. So basically what you have to do is to avoid all that while traveling from point A to point B, and your mission is to bring America back together. This is kind of like a wink to the Make America Great Again, but in a sort of more wholesome way. So in here, the idea is to construct bridges and to connect people. So what you have to do is basically that, just go around and making yourself useful for people, earning their trust, make yourself dependable, and once that they trust you, then convince them to join this network they call the Carl network. So yeah, basically our main character is a delivery guy who is also a sort of a cable guy. So you have, he covers Amazon Prime, FedEx, Uber Eats, because he can sometimes deliver pizza, and connecting people, so he's also your internet cable guy. He gets paid on likes, so he's sort of an influencer too. So yeah, he covers a lot. Also a little bit of gardening thrown in there. So yeah, it's interesting. And it was a sorry. Overall, it was a really nice experience. This was kind of like my big comeback to the video game world. I have been absent for almost 20 years actually. The last game that I touched was Final Fantasy VIII back in 99. I mean, yeah, 20 years. So, and it's interesting because now that I notice, Squall Heart, which is the protagonist of Final Fantasy VIII, and some of the Breaches of the Stranding are very similar characters now that I think about it. I mean, they are both like self-isolated individuals who, due to past trauma, don't want to have anything to do with people. And through the development on the game, they get forced to interact with others and unwillingly making friends along the way, and realizing that it's not that bad, and discovering the magic of friendship and everything. Although I reckon that Sam Porter Bridges is kind of like the mature, more fleshed out version of this type of character. I mean, back in the day, Squall Heart was a little bit cliche in a sense, and in the sense that you have this super serious, stuck up almost character that is super grumpy and doesn't want to have to do anything with anyone, and you have this super bubbly, hyper feminine, super extroverted girl who kind of like rescue him from his isolation and shows him the magic of Christmas, which in this case is the magic of extroversion and friendship and whatnot. And that kind of happens on the Stranding, but in a kind of like more realistic way, because at the end of the day, Sam is who he is, and there is no magic pixie dream girl who comes and saves the day or cures him from his introversion or whatever trauma he developed back in the day. So that's something that Death Stranding does quite nicely, actually. Is something that I really liked. Death Stranding managed to do effortlessly what a lot of creative pursuits are trying to do, especially as of late, which is introducing female characters that are and feel equal and with the same weight that their male counterparts. Doesn't feel like they are trying to fill a quota of gender or anything. It's really well balanced. I mean, all the characters had their purpose. There was something about the development of character that I found interesting, because it feels like a mistake at the very beginning. I'm talking about this Higgs guy who is the bad guy, and it kind of like doesn't feel like it has the proper weight to be, like the villain that he is portrayed to be, but it works perfectly with the story. I mean, it fits with the narrative perfectly. So yeah, I hear a lot of people complaining about the dynamics of the game, and I'll have to agree with a couple of points that it can be a little bit frustrating at the very beginning, because when you try to drive a vehicle or when you try to shoot an enemy, the controls are a disaster. I mean, you're trying just to get from point A to point B, and you have your truck, and your truck kind of like, instead of just going forward or going back, the actual joystick, it kind of like mimics the wheel. So if your joystick does this, it's like you're doing this with your wheel. So your wheels do this. So you move forward, you're going to do this. If you move backward, you're going to do this. And if you go forward again and you want to go that direction, you need to steer your wheels that way, otherwise you're just going to be a random mess. So if you don't have problem with parking in real life, you're probably going to adapt to the controllers like this. But it takes practice, and it can be frustrating, especially if you are in an area where you want to do a delivery and you want to escape from enemies or whatnot. Trying to control your vehicle is probably going to frustrate you a bit, but once you get the grasp of how it works, is not much of an inconvenience. And the shooting, the scenes when you have to shoot enemies, the controls for shooting are also a little bit frustrating, because they don't have, or if they have, I didn't discover how, they don't have stick targets, so you have to manually kind of like locate your enemy and trying to isn't there, okay, and then you shoot. But the problem is that it has recoil, so instead of okay, I target and then I shoot, it's kind of like a target and shoot, and then your aim gets off target, so your enemy has room to run away or move, and then trying to spot him again now that he's aware that you are there and that he's attacking you back is it is really frustrating. So after several tries, I kind of find out that you have to time your movements precisely if you don't want to fall with this sort of setbacks. So if you aim and you shoot, you kind of like shoot, stop shooting before it recoils off target, so then it comes back to target again, and then you continue shooting. But in order to find out that, well, I had to experience a lot of shooting in order to just kind of like trying to grasp the whole dynamics and controls are. I think that's a feature that a lot of people finds it frustrating, but I think it is an asset in the game. You know, it's part of the gameplay for you to think how you are going to control this new tool, because I don't have enough experience with games. As I'm telling you, I spent a lot of time absent of the gaming experience, so I have no idea what is out there in the market. But for what I have been hearing is that a lot of people is really used to the controls of other games, and they're expecting for this game to behave the same, and when it doesn't, it throws them off. And I can compare that to, you know, as an illustrator that I am, to kind of like change equipment and trying to adapt to this new equipment. It happens to me back in the day when I had to upgrade my Wacom tablet, that I was so used to my old tablet, and this new one came with a feature that was kind of like the feeling of the rough texture of the paper, so you could feel like if you were drawing an actual paper. But for me, it was not an add-on at all, because it felt like nails in chalkboard, and it was very frustrating. Actually, I spent like a couple of months not painting anything because it was not enjoyable at all. And that texture also came with the added bonus of the tip of my pen get completely devastated quicker and faster, and they are not cheap, you know. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to use this, I need to really make it worth, you know. I can't use it as a mouse, because actually I use my Wacom tablet as a mouse. And well, if I'm going to put serious money into this, I probably don't want to do random, you know, internet browsing with the tablet if the tip is going to be, you know, waste. So eventually what I ended up doing was to grab a pen from an older tablet and spend almost 4 hours just doing over the surface, just so I can wear out the roughy surface and I could start using this thing. So I reckon that this is very similar to what happened on Death Stranding. I mean, it's not the same as an artist and as an illustrator to use a pen or a pencil or a Wacom tablet. I mean, each medium has their own tips and tricks. You can put a lot of pressure into one, but you cannot do that with another one, and it really depends. So I think it's the same with this game. The controllers are not the same, the functions are different, you need to adapt, but once you get into the learning curve, is not as frustrating. You start moving in a more intuitive way. The brain has an uncanny ability to grasp that kind of things. So it's like you start doing something and it gets frustrating, you go to sleep, come back the next day, and you grasp it. I don't know how the brain does it, but it just does it. So yeah, it requires a little bit of patience in that sense. There are a lot of things in the open world also that it serves for a quicker and not quicker, but a more rich experience. As you have probably heard, there is a lot of walking, there is a lot of going from point A to point B, and it can be tedious at times once you cross that path for several hours, and then you have to go back and it's like, oh my god, not again. But you can make your job easier, and one of the mistakes that I personally did was to ignore a lot of things that they were giving me at the beginning of the game. They were giving me briefs of how certain items work, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I just want to go to the next thing. But if you pay attention, those items can make your life easier and your journey more enjoyable and faster if you want for it to be faster, actually. So the cargo organizing system, some people love it, some people hate it, and I've seen a couple of complaints that you at certain point get asked to deliver so much cargo that it looks ridiculously cartoonish with these piles reaching the sky. And my comment to that is, you're doing it wrong. Read the brief. In there you will find what are the conditions of the terrain, what are the enemies that you are going to bump into, so you prepare accordingly. You don't have to take everything in one go. You got floating carriers, you got vehicles, you got a lot of things that you can use in order to make your life easier. And that's part of the experience, to organize yourself, to really plot what you're going to do, to strategize. If you're a person who enjoys planning, this is going to be very enjoyable for you. If you're a mess, you're probably going to hate it. The ending brought me to tears. I mean, is wow, fantastic. There are some acting in there that rivals the acting of people in cinema. I mean, you can feel the emotion of a 3D model character. How weird is that? Even with a glitch, because there is a scene where a character gives an astounded performance, but I don't know if this just happened on my version or it happens on all versions. Some particles were not where we're supposed to be, so you have tears coming from the characters, but the tears are kind of like floating in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, what the hell is that here? But that doesn't manage to ruin the scene. I mean, it's so well acted and so well made, and yeah, the dynamics change a lot. Even when you get a grasp of how to pass certain enemies, I just still feel this sense of dread that comes with an area where you know that you're going to be attacked. And story-wise, I've heard a lot of people complaining that this is pretentious. I didn't find it pretentious at all. I mean, I really enjoy the way it unfolded. Maybe the only thing that that kind of like pulled me out of the plot was the character of Emily, this girl with a red silky dress and high heels, also red, walking on the Icelandic beach, just like just like that. I mean, I made a rant on Facebook about this because it took me out of the plot. I mean, have you tried to walk on high heels on grass? I mean, is the entirety of your body weight concentrate in a tiny circumference? That shit becomes a knife. So whenever you are walking, you're gonna stomping. So if you are on the beach on heels, you're going to be like a sort of cramping Bambi. And she just kind of like gracefully running on the beach on the heels. It's like, I understand that there is a very sound justification for this, if you might, but it's a stretch. I mean, it is not personal. I think that's the word. It's not that it's impossible, but is that it takes you out of the plot. I mean, if you're a woman who has wear heels at any point in your life, it takes you out of the plot. But anyways, it was really good. The soundtrack is amazing. The part with the BB theme came up, got me super emotional. It's really well placed in the areas where it needs to be placed. It's lovely. It's a really fantastic experience. For what I read, this is a completely different type of game. It's its own genre. It's not like anything that has been developed before. Or I'm telling you, I have no experience. My experience is from 2 decades ago. I have no idea what is in the market nowadays and how it plays. That's what I just heard. So I'm not sure if I'm sticking around because I really enjoy it and love that Stranding. But if it's one of a kind, then what I'm doing, it's like, if you know somebody who's interested on a PS4, I will soon be selling one. Now, I probably will keep the game just for the collection value. Maybe try to get Guillermo del Toro to sign it. I mean, he lives in the city. Shouldn't be hard. Oh yeah, because Guillermo del Toro appears in this game. Also Conan O'Brien, which is fun. And yeah, the dialogue is hilarious. Well, you know the guy. He's hilarious. In case you don't know the guy, you're missing out big time. So yeah, that's basically my take on Death Stranding. And since I loved BB's theme so much to the point of obsession, I'm playing that song on repeat once and again and again and again, and I don't get tired of it. I'm going to leave you with a time lapse, with a random, unrelated painting, but with this song in the background because I love it and because I think it's fitting. And it's the first time, well, it's not the first time, but it's rare for me to like a song, but lyric wise and in terms of tune, and this song achieves both. Besides, sets me a little bit emotional, and that's so rare. So here it comes. Thanks for watching, and buy Death Stranding. They are doing badly in sales.
For a game to fall this much in the first opening month, compared to things that are selling more consistently, like even Ghost Recon, like we just said, was completely panned, broken at launch, but it's sold consistently enough over these last few weeks to maintain a position higher than Death Stranding, whereas Stranding has fallen even lower. WWE 2K20 is at number 26, which is like even.
Is it actually?
That's out. Like, how has that outsold Death Stranding over the same amount of time? Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of nuts. Like,
it's a classic case of the devil, though.
A little bit.
I swear, like people will. This stat is effectively proving that people will buy a broken game that people are telling you not to buy over something that is different.
Yeah.
Oh my. That hurts, because it's not. It applies to a lot of things, not only just to. Oh man, it sucks. Anyway, as I was saying, thank you for watching and have a nice day.
I'll stay with you by your side. Close your tired eyes. I'll wait, and soon I'll see your smile in a dream, and I won't wake before you go, and I still hear your heartbeat. Adorned, we're bound to watch that starlight eons without you. I'll stay with you in your mind every single day. I'll wait, and soon we're stranded on the beach in a dream. Too soon, but in our lives there's a truth to find the end. This new tomorrow we must reach for to be heard. See the sunset. The day is ending. Let your heart sigh. See the sunset. See the sunset.
Yeah, so basically, this game, like, this game, oh, I think I have to, oh shit. I have to get in here because oh my, I'm sorry. Okay, we're set. Sorry about